For pop culture aficionados of a certain age, there is seemingly no cooler job than working at a video store, or a record shop, or a video game store. However, while these may have seemed like the perfect way to get paid to hang out and flex your knowledge of movies, games, and music, many of these jobs were extremely corporate. You may apply with the belief that it is going to be like Clerks, High Fidelity, Empire Records, but in reality the job is like any other retail position. You are expected to upsell, push warranties, and meet sales goals. Now, some of this is on naive presumptions, but many stores actively market themselves as alternative or cool, not only to customers, but their employees as well. That is what we are going to be covering today on the Videocast, the corporate coolness of retail training videos. We will be mostly focusing on stores that specialized in media, physical media, their branding identity, how they presented themselves to new employees, and what it was actually like to work there. As always, I'm your host Brian, and some quick plugs before we get into it. You can read or listen to my book, The Nostalgia Economy, over on Patreon. $5 gets you that and access to dozens of videos and series, and helps keep all this going. Patreon.com/PixandPortraits. You can also listen to it by becoming a member here on YouTube for just $1, or give a super thanks. Everything helps, especially your interest. Like this video, share, you know the platform. Now, I have worked a lot of really terrible retail jobs, including at some of the places we are going to be talking about a little more in depth in a bit, but I'd like to start by looking at some of the expectations and realities of media retail. Given how much the landscape, not only of retail, but media consumption has changed, today these jobs are fewer and far between, but there was a time where you could find multiple stores dedicated to selling movies, music, and games in malls, especially in your smaller towns and cities. Independent shops existed, but they tended to be in larger cities. You may get lucky, and your town could have a cool indie shop, but most media retailers were part of bigger, national, or international chains. Stores, even within the same category or service type, had their own unique identities that came through in the way that they were branded. Just like with clothing and apparel, these stores catered to and targeted specific demographics. For customers and employees, the kind of people they hoped to hire obviously had an interest in the product, aspiring filmmakers, musicians, people who wanted to work in these industries but maybe didn't have the experience or access to do so. But that wasn't enough and could actually be a detriment. Stores want people who are enthusiastic about the products they sell, yes, but more important than that, they want people who can talk to customers and sell. The goal for any business is to make money, and just because someone knows a lot about something doesn't mean they are good at selling or providing customer service. Dealing with other people can be extremely frustrating, and these companies don't want you to lose your cool over a customer not knowing or liking something. The kind of snobbery that is rampant in these interests can be very off-putting on both sides of the counter. Entitled customers who know more than you do and happily sound off on a minimum wage employee for not being an expert on everything a store sells. Very common. Still, stores look for a certain kind of person that will be a good representative of the products and brand. These places tend to highlight your individuality, but still, you're wearing a uniform, you need to conform in all the expected ways, following policies, the law. You also need to conform to the business's brand or choices. This can often include keeping your opinions and tastes to yourself. Studios, publishers, record labels pay to have their products highlighted and pushed. It doesn't matter if you don't like it or you think something else is better. You need to sell what the company tells you to. Certain incentives can come with this. You may get a free copy of something or a t-shirt. Most of the time though, at least in my experience, your having a job relied on how many copies of Van Helsing you could sell. You might also be required to push some kind of subscription, loyalty program, warranties, or worse, credit cards. You think you're going to spend all day recommending movies you love, introducing them to people who will also love them, but you end up getting yelled at by your manager for only signing 3 people up for a MasterCard. None of this is to say interest, knowledge, and enthusiasm for media is a negative in these positions. It is still encouraged and definitely an asset, and that is reflected in stores' training videos. Now, we are going to be looking at training material from 4 businesses, some of which are very near and dear to my heart, that span different types of media over roughly a decade or so. That may not seem like that long, but there were some massive cultural shifts that affected both retail and physical media pretty dramatically. Generally, as a new employee, you'd be brought back into an office, back or lunchroom, and shown the stuff on VHS or DVD, with your manager maybe apologizing for the corniness, because wow, some of these are bad. The first one here is from Best Buy around 1997 and is a textbook example of a company trying to spice up their image with a gimmick, in this case a parody of the Justice League. Each of the heroes embodies some aspect of Best Buy's business or policy procedures. One is dedicated to simplifying the store shopping experience, one is for inventory, shrink, replacement plans. Merchalangelo is heavily featured. The video revolves around changes to the company's merchandising plans, the planograms, how the store is organized to maximize sales and give shoppers a pleasant shopping experience. It is dubbed Tag TV after Best Buy's logo. Seems to be a sort of internal communication. I don't think it was intended for new employees, but rather current managers and staff to inform them of changes, merchandising changes, new branding ideas, company updates. It also highlights Best Buy's sponsorships and charity work. Despite the superhero theme, the tone is very corporate, which we're going to be seeing a lot. Up next, we have an interactive training DVD from EB Games, which is now under the GameStop banner, Video Game Store. This is from 2005 and is a fascinating snapshot into this era of gaming, shot on location in-store using real products. It appeals to the kind of person the company believes would want to work at a video game store. Being a DVD, it's interactive, gamified, it uses all sorts of generic game noises, beeps and boops. The robot also looks very anime-inspired. There's a ton of crossover there, video games and anime. Its tone is authoritative in a way. The narrator speaks as if from some kind of mission control. You are on a mission to sell, you are a selling machine. This is straight up, just sales training. It walks you through how to read customers, break down the resistance, gain their trust, and exploit that to upsell and increase sales. How to push add-ons, warranties, sell. It also looks at the competition, many of which don't exist anymore. EB will beat them. EB will be successful because of their pricing, selection, and their secret weapon, you. This was meant to be used in tandem with a physical guide, and as you go through, you unlock medals or achievements. Again, gamification. I don't know what the clearance will look like, but it uses a ton of IP, including Simpsons characters, as an example for its dress code, which is very business casual, slacks and golf shirts. Not the most stylish or exciting. The Simpsons were also referenced in this wild HMV induction video from around 2009. Judging by some of the other references. It extensively parodies the 138th episode spectacular to the point where I'm not even sure that it's real. From what I've been able to tell, it is, but this uses so many different IPs to introduce what HMV is to employees, and the tone is all over the place. We talked about HMV over on our other channel before. Media retailer, started as a record shop chain in the UK, but expanded into other regions and formats. Games, movies, they were pretty huge here in Canada. I have a ton of affection for it. This video was from the UK, and again, featured famous characters explaining why HMV is great and why working there is so cool. Being around the media you love, live events are also highlighted. You might get to meet a celebrity or two. Also included is a PSA about content ratings and the risks of selling inappropriate content to minors. One clerk talks about how she now has a criminal record for selling restricted content to someone underage, and basically tells you, hey, it could happen to you. I've talked before about how much I love late-stage physical media dominance, for lack of a better term. The late 2000s, when the shift towards online shopping and streaming had begun, but had not yet fully replaced brick-and-mortar retail or physical media. I was still buying and collecting physical media at this point, still am, but I love this period. Like HMV, we've covered Game Crazy and Hollywood Video, Movie Gallery in the past, but not this training video from 2009. It's similar to the EB Games one we just looked at. It teaches new employees how to read customers and recommend purchases based off of what they're wearing or how they act, demographics. But unlike the EB one, this is more focused on customer service and giving customers what they actually want or would like. Out of all the videos we've watched here today, this is the one that encourages employees to be themselves the most. There is still a focus on selling, but it assumes the people who were hired knew and loved movies, and so it shows them how to relay that passion and knowledge into sales that benefit both the company and the customers. It also features an impersonator who does impressions of characters from movies that were big at the time: Juno, Borat, Wolverine, Harry Potter, Mario for Game Crazy, Napoleon Dynamite, which seems a bit out of date, but still in line with the kind of people the company hoped to hire. Like any job, working at these places came with a ton of negatives, but in smaller towns, they were still coveted. I worked at a few places, and we received hundreds of resumes a month, because compared to, say, working at a Walmart or a grocery store, fast food, which came with all the same downsides and more, these were cool jobs. Discounts could be better, but you did get deals on things you were already going to buy. You got to meet and interact with people who liked the things that you did just as much, if not more. Give and get recommendations, coworkers with the same interests as you. I love YouTube. It is full of amazing home videos that were shot by employees and give an amazing look into what working at these places was actually like. Most of the training videos were shot in store, but under the most ideal circumstances. They were corporate, polished, shelves were well stocked, clean, but these videos offer a much more honest view, and they show people having fun. It's been many years, but personally I enjoyed my time working in media retail. How about you? Have you or do you work in a corporate video or a record store? What was your experience like? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, and if you have the means, please consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to dozens of exclusive videos and my book, The Nostalgia Economy, which is all about collecting. $5, patreon.com/pixandportraits. Become a member or give a super thanks if you can, but you've already done the most helpful thing, and that is watch through to the end. So thank you for that. Thanks for your interest in this channel, and thanks for watching. See you next time.